the Porsche 718 is going electric. Or at least that was the plan. You see, with a sports car, going electric will likely make them faster, but not necessarily better in terms of emotion. Emotional sports cars, after all, is exactly why car enthusiasts love Porsche so much. For now, we have to say goodbye in the meantime to the gas-powered 718. Pero kung gusto nyo pang humabol, meron pang natitirang mga dealer stocks. Now, one of those models includes this base 718 Cayman. Featuring a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder boxer engine, is this car worth the splurge, or should you just wait for the electric version? Have an even longer patience, and you'll probably have enough time to save up for the upcoming 718 top models, which rumors suggest will get a 6-cylinder boxer engine. More on that later. For now, if you like what you're seeing, or even these kinds of reviews, why not hit subscribe and hit the bell? Woohoo! What a car! What a car this thing! So, would you rather get the upcoming pure electric 718 or this current generation 4-cylinder model? Now, in order for us to understand what this car is supposed to be, we have to first explore its handling potential. Here's a clearer road. That 4-cylinder boxer engine, let's first talk about that. So this is the base 718 Cayman, and actually sa totoo lang, in terms of the engine note, alam kong all of us had a lot of things to say noong tinanggal nila yung 6-cylinder in favor of this 4-cylinder boxer engine. Though the engine sounds nice, so it's your usual 4-cylinder boxer engine noise, pero kasi it sounds like a Subaru BRZ or a Toyota GR86. Don't get me wrong, I actually like that engine note. And in isolation, I actually like this engine sound sa totoo lang. I actually like hearing it. Pero kasi, Porsche sports cars are known and are desired for their 6-cylinder boxer engine sounds. This engine is meant to be ringed out in terms of yung kanyang power delivery. But the reality with this engine is that this is pretty much all the power you need. Compared to the previous non-turbo 6-cylinder, this turbo 4-cylinder actually has better low-end torque, but of course we can all agree that the non-turbo 6-cylinder it replaced sounded nicer. Now if the 6-cylinder is non-negotiable to you, you can of course search for the GTS 4.0 or wait a couple of years for the next generation model. Now that 8-speed dual clutch, the DCT or rather the PDK, the Porsche Doppelkopplung, sige nga, pronounce nyo nga yung pag may makaspelling, hindi joke lang, hindi ko siya ipaparaffle. But anyway, of course, in typical Porsche fashion nga, that 8-speed PDK. So yeah, it's very responsive. Downshift, it will just flick its revs the moment that you downshift and brake into a corner. So, it really feels second nature in how it responds to your inputs. Yeah, this car just follows your command. Whatever you input to the car, the chassis balance is unparalleled in this segment, so it competes mostly with the BMW Z4. And though I like that car, don't get me wrong, I really do love the BMW Z4, but this car just feels so much more balanced because of that mid-engine layout. So with all of your mass really in the center of this vehicle, this is pretty much almost like go-kart feels with how precise this car handles corners. These long swoopy corners just highlight the 718 Cayman's handling potential. It's really so compact. I really like how the hood has these parang the higher positioning sa sides niya. So because of that, you're able to easily point the vehicle in the road. Part of its precision feel in the way it handles corners is of course the signature Porsche steering. So alam niyo naman na I pretty much put this alongside the Ferrari steering in terms of the benchmark in steering feel and even responsiveness. So, yeah, as you would expect, talagang the steering wheel has this, kung sabihin natin, telepathic connection between your hands and the wheel because talagang it feels very direct. It feels nearly one-to-one with how it responds to your tactile inputs. The brakes also feel absolutely fantastic. They're very firm, therefore making them very easy to modulate the car's brakes. So it's easy to brake smoothly here through corners or even at a stoplight. Kaya, again, controls-wise, the steering, the throttle feel, the brake pedal, it's all very intuitive for the driver. Kaya, yeah, there's really this perfect tactility with how you drive a Porsche, even if it's the 718 Cayman. The car is so light and with the engine positioned so low, in the first place being a 2-liter 4-cylinder boxer engine, there's no body roll. You don't need to stiffen the suspension to make this car enter corners ng flat yung kanyang body. I just like how you're able to cleanly exit a corner because, syempre, being rear-wheel drive and with a bit of the weight concentrated ng medyo rear bias ng onte, you are able to put more load to the rear wheels. Kaya it's very confidence-inspiring in how it hooks up to the road. Would I prefer it over the 911? Actually, in some ways, because this car is much more compact. Yeah, you know what? This is a really nice sports car. I think I have to say na this has a bit of handling agility advantage over the 911. The breadth of abilities kasi that the Porsche 911 is able to achieve is so wide, napakalawak ng spectrum niya. But here, being a mid-engined, compact sports car, this car kind of feels more focused, more purposeful. Then again, you have to remember na despite that, the 911 is a truly amazing sports car. But I wouldn't say na this is playing second level. This car is in its own merit a really excellent sports car, one that has a slightly narrower breadth of capability compared to the much more all-rounded 911. It is a sports car that really feels second nature with how you're able to control this vehicle. Now let us pause for a moment and appreciate the 718's looks. Credit to where credit is due, because you can really trust Porsche to create a timeless looking sports car. Yeah, the car is 7 years old at this point, but even today, the car still turns heads. You have a nicely well-proportioned front end, though it's worth noting that when was the last time you drove a car with HID headlights? Though, to be fair, in some cases, they even work better than full LED headlights. Here on the side, you're gonna be seeing nice 19-inch wheels in a staggered arrangement, with the rear being wider for better grip. Classic Porsche lines you're gonna be seeing here. But let me know down in the comment section which car you prefer in terms of overall design, because for some people, they actually prefer the 718 because of its mid-engine proportions. The Porsche 911 kasi has its engine all the way to the back, and so to some people, the 718 ends up being the better looking car, at least subjectively speaking. Now, as we move towards the back end of the 718 Cayman, you have nice LED taillights here, along with, of course, the Porsche script sa kanyang active rear spoiler. And yeah, being the base version, the 718 Cayman, and not the S or GTS, you also have there a single central rear exhaust. Yeah, basically in terms of the overall looks, classic Porsche proportions, it still looks really good. And that is a good time, of course, I think, to explore this car's interior to see how it still holds up in 2025. Yeah, so satisfying boxer rumble, isn't it? I also like the fact that being an older model in Porsche's lineup, you still have the traditional key cylinder in which you start up the car on the left side of the car's dashboard. Alam nyo naman for sure at this point yung historical significance of having this key cylinder being on the left side of the vehicle. Anyway, apart from those Porsche novelties, what you have is a very straightforward interior, one that is well built, very plush, though it is an interior na at this point, especially if you've been seeing their latest models, is starting to feel its age. Well, sa totoo lang, it really does feel its age at this point. So, this is your typical analog Porsche gauge cluster. Speedometer on the left, tachometer on the middle, and then a color multi-information display on the right. This is refreshing for me again because for the past few months, I've been driving cars na purely coming with digital gauges. So, yeah, this is actually a nice novelty once again. And then, again, being an older car, what you have here sa totoo lang is a much older generation of the Porsche Communication Management Infotainment System. So, compared to what you're seeing ngayon with the Porsche Cayenne or even the Taycan and even the 911, this is actually 2 generations behind. So, you still have this small touchscreen here. And, yeah, in terms of the resolution, ang sobrang low res niya at this point. When you zoom in with your eyes, sa totoo lang, you can even see the jagged edges on PCM's graphical user interface. So that is your clue na this Porsche 718 pretty much dates back to the original 981, the first iteration of this current model's platform, prior to it being called the 718 for its 2016-2017 mid-cycle facelift. That's both a good and a bad thing because yun nga, as you're gonna be seeing naman, it's not anymore cutting edge. But as we've been complaining with a lot of modern cars these days, you still have a generous amount of physical controls here in the 718 Cayman's interior. They're all very clicky, very tactile, typical of the Porsches in the mid-2010s. Yun nga lang, being the entry-level version, being the base 718 Cayman, marami ka bang blank buttons all across this center console. So, what you only have here is the button for the active rear spoiler, along with the sports exhaust and the car's engine start-stop. Now, of course, in typical Porsche fashion, in their sports cars, you also have here the world's most over-engineered cup holders. So, yeah, I really like this actually because it makes the very small cockpit pretty much highly functional, especially if you're gonna be going on a long drive and syempre you wanna have a drink or two. Actually, in terms of practicality and storage, there's plenty of storage spaces for a sports car at least here in the 718 Cayman. Once you check out the cargo space of this thing, you're gonna be surprised with how practical this sports car is, even compared pa nga sa totoo lang to the Mazda MX-5. And when you combine that with the even bigger rear cargo area, yeah, this is a sports car na is pretty much dailyable, na pwede mo pang araw-araw in terms of the car's cargo capacity. But it isn't just only the car's practicality where the 718 is feasible for daily use. That's because it actually extends all the way to even the car's surprisingly docile personality. Now, as a daily driver, itong Porsche 718 Cayman is pretty much what you would expect in a Porsche sports car in terms of overall usability. So being the base Cayman, at least in Philippine spec, doesn't come with adaptive dampers or the PASM, Porsche Active Suspension Management. And so, in terms of ride quality, sa totoo lang, mas maganda yung ride quality ng mga Porsche when you have that suspension option tech. But as it is in this stock tuning, itong kanyang suspension tuning na ito, it is still perfectly usable on a daily basis. Actually, I am surprised that even if I go over the C5 truck lane, well, of course, being a sports car with a short wheelbase, kawawa yung pakiramdam mo because talagang being a smaller car, it is really easily unsettled by large imperfections. Pero that's pretty much what you would expect in a small, compact, lightweight sports car. But yun nga, as mentioned, suspension tuning-wise, it deals pretty well with large and small bumps in the first place. As for the car's overall refinement, so of course, being a mid-engine sports car, you can really hear the engine at the back. Turn off the sports exhaust though, and yeah, I'm gonna turn it off now. Things do get a bit more serene, so you have that option if you want to hear the engine sound or cruise in silence, or even silence, but you will still hear the 4-cylinder boxer engine, which at that point, it isn't that obtrusive, though you hear it, but let's be honest, it's kind of a noise that at least personally would still want to hear even if you're cruising. Yes, in typical sports car fashion, mas maingay ito than your normal everyday luxury car, but by sports car standards, itong Porsche 718 Cayman is actually really refined. Finally, even in terms of fuel economy, the Cayman's 2-liter turbocharged boxer engine is actually quite efficient, achieving around 8 to 11 kilometers per liter, depending on how you drive the car as well as the traffic conditions. So far so good then. With that said, does this car have any major downsides? I actually do have a bit of cons in terms of the equipment levels. So, one, walang power folding mirrors. Though of course they are power adjustable but not power folding. And then you also have a day and night mirror. Yeah, it's not even an auto dimming thing. As in it's a normal or rather a rudimentary day and night flipping thing sa iyong rear view mirror. The reason why these are cons for me is because, yes, once again, sabi ko nga, the driving experience is pretty much central pa rin in a car like the 718 Cayman. But if you're gonna be charging me almost double the price of a BMW Z4 M40i with the inline-6 B58 engine, remember the BMW Z4 M40i also gets those two large screens, the iDrive 7 infotainment system, along with much more creature comforts compared to this nearly twice as expensive Porsche 718 Cayman. But the more I drove this car, the more I enjoyed it as intended. That is when I started to realize that with its unparalleled handling, the very precise controls, not to mention the very rich steering feel, and the fact that it's pretty much the only rear-wheel drive mid-engine sports car at its price point, the 718 Cayman is a sports car that's more than the sum of its parts. That already pretty much applies to this 4-cylinder model. So just imagine how epic this car would be if it had a 6-cylinder boxer engine. So the question now is this car worth the premium over the BMW Z4 M40i along with its legendary B58 inline-6? Well, that pretty much depends on what exactly you want in a sports car. If you want a sports car with the best steering feel at its price point, the unparalleled mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout, along with its timeless Porsche proportions, then you can say that the 718 Cayman is a sports car in a class of its own. Besides, if you want a sports car with the same basic ingredients, then you have no choice but to splurge in a more expensive Ferrari or perhaps go British and check out the Lotus Emira. Either way, the Porsche 718, even in 4-cylinder form, offers unparalleled driver connection. Even one that I think that the upcoming electric version will have a hard time to replicate.